Hello. What was this?
It's wiggly worm time.
I have the feeling that before we talk about Heartbreaking Book.
Oh, fuck. I mean, chocolate.
sake.
Hot chocolate.
I put chopped food all on the sofa.
So, let's just look at these comments that are coming through. This one's fine. Let's read this. I read this book when Lady Midnight first come out. Let's see what I remember. And then Chloe. Once again, I have not read the book, but I'm here as a supportive friend and also to see if anyone cries.
I mean, it's me and
See
Becca.
if anyone cries. It feels vastly different. Affecting in strange ways. To me, they are one and the same. It's very fair.
But also, it's me and Becca who literally cry at almost everything. So even if you didn't,
And I messaged Chloe 5 minutes after finishing the book, like, I'm so sad. I knew it was coming, and I'm
it's
still
hit and
sad
miss
about
with
it.
you. It's hit and miss with you, like what you cry at, because I know you don't cry at everything. Whereas I knew that if there was anything remotely emotional, happy or sad, I would be crying for one reason or another.
Yeah, I mean, most of my blue tabs were sad cries, but there were a few like, oh my god, I'm so happy cries. But it was mostly sad.
Yeah, it's
Mostly sad. I feel like most of it was happy.
Yeah.
For me, to be fair, there was parts earlier on where, because I know the ending, I started crying.
That's
So it was more of a, because I know what happens in it, I started crying earlier because there was just these little things that a certain character would say or do, and I was like, oh no, I know what's going to happen to you.
yeah, no,
And it hurts a lot.
Yeah,
understandable.
So close to finishing, but I already know the story, so it's okay. That is fair. Hello.
Hi.
Oh, hi, beautiful people.
Oh, hi.
I will leave you to your sadness now because I have videos to film, but enjoy your misery. We will let you know if we do cry on the live, so you can go back and watch it.
We'll make sure
Your misery. We have such supportive friends.
we know this is how Chloe shows affection. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's a good job we know it. Otherwise, I'd be seriously offended.
Yeah.
Then again, I say it all the time.
We're going to start off with the normal question. What did everyone rate the book, both here and in the comments?
I rated it 5 stars.
Shall I get mine out as well? Because I want a twin with you. I rated it 5 stars, but that means because I've read this now, it kind of bumped Bane down to a 4.
Ooh.
Because I thought Bane was a 5 when I was reading. But then I was like, no, bitch, this is 5. I mean, I love Magnus, but Simon.
Magnus is also in here, though, so it's fine.
Yeah, true. Facts.
Catherine?
I bumped it up from a 4 last time to a 4.5 this time.
Oh, we love the growth.
No shock whatsoever that it's a 5. I feel like this is like given because I've never to this date given a Cassie Clare book less than a 5. We're going to see if that changes in January when Chain of Thorns comes out. But as it stands,
Chain of Iron got through by the skin of its teeth, but you know,
really did.
I am obsessed with Chain of Iron, but I understand the hesitation.
So yeah, this is a 5-star. This is my favorite in the entire Shadowhunter Chronicles.
I can understand why.
It's my favorite character. I mean, I know
Have you
Gem's
mentioned that before, by the way? That it follows Simon? Because I can't remember. I remember you saying that this was like your favorite like short story collection, but I can't remember you saying that it follows Simon. Obviously, it was the Shadowhunter Academy.
I mean,
but
to be fair, I haven't mentioned that it follows Simon because that is a bit of a spoiler. Because obviously, if you haven't read all of the instruments, then you don't know what happens. As far if you've like maybe like on the first book of More Instruments, and you're like, but Simon, what, huh? And then if you're like a bit further in, but Simon's a vampire, so you need to have read the entire More Instruments to to know who. So I'm always very secretive over who the character is. I'm like, I know you can look it up.
Despite the fact that he's like here.
Yeah.
With his bow and arrow and his
I just thought it was a random guy with brown hair, and then didn't twig it was Simon to me.
Like, it could have also been Alec, I suppose, but like, why would it have been Alec?
Yeah, because it didn't.
Alec would have runes all over him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't clock. It didn't clock in Naz's brain.
Yeah. I feel like I knew because when it first came out and I decided I wasn't reading it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, Simon's fine. And then I read this and I was like, oh my God, I would die for Simon.
Mm-hmm.
Simon was always my favourite character, so this was always going to be the best book.
I was a basic ass bitch when I was 15 and I was obsessed with the Herondales. Whether it be Kate or Will, I was obsessed.
I mean, you're not wrong with Will, but no.
Gem's better. What? Who's that?
Do you know what? It took me forever when they mentioned Fairchild. I was like, Fairchild. In my brain, I was like, fuck, why have I just totally forgot who the fucking Fairchilds are? Yes, it's not twigged in his head, like with the adventures and stuff. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, it just didn't in my brain because I was like audiobooking it for the most of the part, and it was still like as it was meeting Matthew. I was just like, who the fuck is Fairchild? Like for a solid while. And then I only realised, remembered, twigging in my head, when he was on about how he looked after his dad because all he did was like look after his adventures. I was like, shit, yeah.
Let's not. The biggest dumb bitch moment of anyone's ever had for this book is me forgetting how Simon ended in the Mortal Instruments. So I was like, why has everyone treated him so weird? Like, what's going on? And I was like, oh yeah, you didn't reread this series before jumping into this. He doesn't remember anything. I just like forgot. I was like, everyone's relationships and dynamics are like so weird. I remembered that everyone ended up alive-ish. Everyone that like I needed to was okay.
Sorry.
But I'd very much forgotten.
My internet was having a hissy fit, so I was having to swap over to the wired connection, but it means coming in here because it's not working in the living room yet. So I was like, which is why I think I spoke over Meg earlier because mine was lagging and I thought she'd finished, but I was like, oh, it's me now. And I was like, oh no, it's not me.
I feel like mine is also lagging a bit because it won't connect to my cabled internet. So I'm on my phone's like, you know, that thing it does, hotspot. So let's see.
We've got this. We can do this. Hello. 5 stars. Favorite of the series so far? Yes. I don't remember.
Like that's just my jam.
Don't remember the rating. I did binge it in one night though and flew through it, so it was likely a high rating.
Wow.
4 stars. Hello. Loved how we got Simon's perspective. Yes, when I first read this, I was just like, because Simon was my favorite character from the get-go, and I was just like, I need more Simon. So when I found out that this was Simon's book, I was just like, my prayers have been answered. 4.5 for me. One of my favorite short stories is in here. It involves Magnus as a hint. Yes. One thing I do want to say that involves Magnus, it's not in one of the earlier ones, but can we just appreciate Simon walking in on Alec and Magnus?
My God.
Well, he walked in, even though they were like actually having sex. He walked in on Simon and Izzy, so it's kind of like a.
I feel like it's much worse for Alec walking in on Simon and Izzy though, because you know that's his sister.
Yeah, true.
Whereas Simon's not related to either of like them.
And Magnus was just so chill. He's like, "Can I help you?"
And Alec's like, "Leave now." Oh man.
I know. Honestly, I was like, why is this all so weird? And I was like, oh my God, you fucking dumb bitch. Like because of major plot things that happened in the last book, I forgot that Simon had no memory of anybody. and was like, why is everyone treating him so weirdly? Why does he feel like he needs to go off and do this? And I'm like, oh yeah.
I will say earlier on in the stories, Izzy really annoyed me.
Yeah.
Because he just kept getting into like Simon's face essentially. And I know she didn't mean it in a bad way, but like the whole point of him doing this was for him to try and figure stuff out. And he wanted to like do this thing on his own and try and like relearn himself. And I feel like Clary respected that. She didn't like bombard him at every chance she got, but Izzy just would not leave him alone.
I think out of anybody, I would have expected it to be Clary, because we all know that bitch doesn't learn from anything, and she clearly just doesn't get the signals the majority of the time.
But this is the first book where you see her actual growth. Because
6 books later, and she's a side character in this essentially. I'm just like, dude. I mean, I can understand why he was getting a bit like, he ended up saying something really snappy to her, because like you said, like he didn't choose, well, he did technically choose to lose his memory, but like it must have been really confusing for him. Him being told that he's his big hero, he can't remember a thing. He's like, oh, that's your childhood best friend, that's the girl that you were in love with. I just can't remember any of it. And
Jace is here just to make everything a bit more difficult.
Especially where Alec was concerned, like some like massive thing has happened between them.
Oh,
but I love seeing
those stories. Just out of interest.
That's really hard.
It is really hard.
In the other room, so whatever you say.
I think for me, it might be the fiery trial.
Yeah.
Because not only do we get Emma and Julian, but we also get to see that Simon and Clary are like destined to be parabatai.
Oh, yes. Good one.
I did not like how they just manipulated them with that, though. I get the reasoning behind it, but like he was under the impression that his chance of being a parabatai had passed. And this is another thing that, like, which is why for the last story, I know we'll get to that in a minute, but where I didn't know whether or not she was gonna follow through, because she has a way of like creating loopholes and, you know, creating paths, you know. So we thought Simon was dead. No, he's a vampire. Like, if it's forgotten, everyone knows not, because Magnus can bring part of his memory back, but not all of his memory. So it's just like, oh wait, no, by Shadowhunter rules, because you're a vampire, technically dead for like 6 months, you're technically still 18.
Because he stopped aging.
And I think I messaged you about it before it happened. I was like, they're definitely gonna like, this is definitely the way around this. I was like,
yeah, they would have mentioned it if it wasn't going to be a thing, but I was wondering how they were going to get around it. They were like, well, you were technically dead for 6 months, so you might be 19, but you're not really.
But I absolutely loved how Emma was like, I want Clary to be my witness. I was just like, I love Emma Black. Not Emma Black, Emma Carpenter.
I am so nervous about the Dark Artifices, because obviously we saw like Emma and Julian be perhaps not completely not in love with Emma.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's obviously going to cause some problems.
And the whole point is like a bond is not a romantic one. And I'm just like,
I'm like, Simon's finally like got past all of that, and like he's like, oh, but I see that in him. I'm like, please don't do that.
But when it's like, I thought he was going to step in and be like, oh no.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say something, and he didn't. He was just like, oh no, I remember. I'm just not going to tell anyone anything ever. This is going to stay in my brain. I'm not going to say a word to anyone.
But that's another thing I love about the fact that Simon and Clary are now like destined to be parabatai, because like it's like we didn't already know, but it's just put to rest them ever being a thing romantically, like, because that whole thing in book 2, no.
Yeah.
Like, no.
It was a very childish thing. I think it was a case of he thought he was in love with her because they were so close.
I do think he was in love with her. But
I think it might have been a childish thing, like
but it was still he was still in love with her, even if it was just like
he was romantically attached. Like it wasn't platonic. He definitely had feelings for her.
Yeah, but seeing that first meeting where Clary sees Jace for the first time from Simon's point of view as well was just like, oh, because he couldn't see Jace, and he was like trying to like declare his love to Clary, and Clary's just like, what? No, who's this person?
Yeah. There is a strange invisible man outside. Must investigate. My favourite surprising nobody, or like not surprising Becca, was the Nothing But Shadows, because obviously it was nothing but shadows. I also love seeing Will and Tessa in the Whitechapel Fiend though. That was like so sweet.
I loved seeing Will, like he clearly hasn't, even as he became a dad, his cheeky side was still there, and his playful side was still there, and just
anytime Will.
What were you saying?
I was just going to say, anytime Will, Tessa, or Jem comes back in anything, I'm like, I'm here again.
Yeah,
like this is me.
But
it was also like, I also know that I've read these in the wrong order, so it was really weird meeting like the Merry Thieves before they were the Merry Thieves, and I was like, what is happening? Like they weren't friends forever. Like I don't understand.
And also, I like how this is the first time you're supposed to be introduced to Alistair Carstairs as well, and you like instantly hate him, which is just how you're supposed to.
I had really like chapter 3 of Chain of Gold. Like there was a slightly slower build for that one for me.
Yeah.
Just as soon as I met him and then he called him goat face, and I was just like, you're a twat. I wish death upon you.
Sorry, how it is, Lisa.
There was literally no need for him to be an out-and-out arsehole from like this poor Monday would just wants to be a Shadowhunter. He's forgotten half his fucking life. Leave him alone.
Yeah. I really don't like how they were very much the elites and the dregs. But the progress those elites made throughout the book to actually, and like, I'm sorry, John Cartwright. Like Marisol just torturing John by teaching him everything about mundane life, and that last little conversation the whole group have before they like their ascension, where like John pipes up for something, he's like, I know that, and it's just like,
I understood that reference.
I just realised I got the stories mixed up. It was James that was Alistair, wasn't it? Yeah. But I love James. Did I say that I didn't like him in the last book? When we were introduced to him at like the end of Infernal Devices, said he was a bit of a shit. I'd take it back.
Yeah, you didn't like his main chronicle story, which like he goes through some things. He was having a rough time.
Yeah. Don't worry, you'll learn more about that when we get to the last hours. Got a while.
Next year.
Yeah. Absolutely love that part. I feel it was much deserved, since both Magnus and Alec have a tendency to do it to everyone else. They really do. They walk in on everyone. Not intentionally, but it happens. Simon's character has developed so much in City of Bones. I thought his character developed really well. Yes. He definitely has improved so much as a character.
And the conflict, the fact that even though he was trained to be a Shadowhunter, he wasn't just letting himself automatically think like that, and he was checking himself when he started to think certain things, and he was like, I want to be a Shadowhunter, but I also don't agree with the fact that you're treating downworlders that way. And he was just outraged on behalf of other people, even though he wasn't because he was a hero, they still treated him a little bit better because he was still the hero, even if he chose to live the way that he lived with George. And the fact that George followed him.
Katrina lost just like taking him under wing, and I love Katrina. She's one of my favorites. Like if Cassie ever wants to write like a Bane Chronicles style story, but for Katrina, I will eat that up, because I want more of Katrina's life. We do get more of her, but like not enough. and I want more and more and more. A whole book for Katrina.
Yeah.
She's like a reluctant teacher, though, isn't she? She's like, she doesn't want to be there, but she's doing it. And she's like, well, now that I'm here, I'm going to help this guy. Like,
yeah,
just
because we're going to shake some things up. Yeah. I think my favorite part of like Simon in this is that, not my favorite, but one of the things I appreciated about it is that like he is Jewish, and they've never shied away from the fact that he is Jewish, and like a major tenet of being Jewish is like you have to ask questions, and that is the opposite of what they want a Shadowhunter to do. They're just like the law is hard, but it is the law, and he's like, but actually, maybe it doesn't have to be. Maybe we could not do that. I was like, yes,
maybe we could change this.
Like, it is wrong.
Do you know who the coach type person? I can't remember his name. Dewsbury or whatever his name is.
Oh,
he reminds me of a little bit. He reminds me of the coach from Teen Wolf. The way you like shout.
Been stuck.
I'm just like, I can't.
Yeah.
He was who I was picturing when I read this. Because I can just imagine him playing that character really well.
Obviously less sweary, but when the guy was calling them names, it immediately took me to EOTV. When he was just hurling abuse at them, obviously totally different words were used in that. But I could just like, I don't know why it took me there, but I just remember sitting there chuckling to myself, and I was like, yeah, this reminds me of EOTV.
Yeah.
Do you not like Simon and Clary as Parabatai? I think you might be the first person I've seen say that, which is really interesting because I am really here for it. Like the very first time I read the very, very first book, I was like, I really wish Simon didn't have a crush on Clary because they would be great Parabatai if they could both be Shadowhunters. And then obviously they dated, and I was like, well, there goes that. And then, like, obviously the story has progressed since then, and I was back on the whole Simon and Clary Parabatai, yeah.
I feel like I wouldn't have been mad if, things had gone differently in the last story, and Simon and George would have been Parabatai, and Clary and Izzy would have been Parabatai. Yes. I feel like that would have also have been fine, but like Clary and Simon just have, they just have a better relationship. They have like growing up together as like soulmates, like they are friends forever kind of thing.
Yeah. They are literally platonic soulmates, and I absolutely love it.
See, I mean, this is why I kind of understand why they weren't able to tell them about the trial, because had they have had the advance notice, they would have known that they would have had to find each other and prove that they would always find each other. But the way that they were here, like, oh yeah, you're gonna be the witness for Julie and Emma, and then as soon as they were like, here's some tea, I'm like, bitch, no, don't drink it. It's like, oh, I feel warm. I'm like, nope.
Like, damn, that was some good tea. I'm like, nah, son, you were drugged. You just drank hallucinogens.
Clary would have like picked up on it being Lake Lynn water before, like the moment though, because she's literally inhaled Lake Lynn water before.
Bitch drowned in that lake.
Really like that they ended up Parabatai. Also, I'm so ready, but not ready to reread Dark Artifices. I feel that on so many levels.
I'm terrified.
The meme is like, I'm in danger. That's me every time I reread the Dark Artifices.
Literally, because I feel like I'm now much less emotionally repressed than I was when I was like 15 and these books were coming out. Like, I feel like these books have more power to hurt me now because like I let myself feel things.
You know what's really funny? You know how like there's loads of blue in this for my crying? I'm really excited to see Queen of Air and Darkness when I tab the hell out of that, because I cry for about 80% of the book.
Oh no.
Ooh.
So it's going to be really interesting. Like the slightest little mention of something and I'm crying again. Like, it's an emotional book for me. No one else I know cries that much at it. I don't know what it is about the book that really hits me that hard. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of yous have that, any sort of like reaction like that. I feel like if it's going to be anyone, it's going to be you.
I was just about to say that.
I was about to say it's not going to be me because I don't cry.
Don't listen to the audio on the bus.
Catherine is me when I was 15. She's had no emotions for Catherine.
My emotions are here. They're always here. They just don't come out here.
No, but
I'm 15-year-old repressed Meg.
No, because I listened to Tales on the beginning of on the bus stop, and then it finished while I was on the bus. And then I decided, in my infinite wisdom, that I only had an hour and a half of Woolsong left, and I knew that I was going to the supermarket before I got home. That I would listen to the end of that as I was pottering about Sainsbury's. Bad idea, guys. Bad idea. Don't do Lisa. Lisa is thick as shit.
I'm going to be honest. I did like the opposite. I listened to an audiobook on my lunch break, but it was the first 6 chapters of Call to the Vampire Queen by Katie Robert. I was in work.
Oh no, but Woolsong is gay werewolves, so there's
explicit gay werewolves.
Spicy times. But then break my heart.
Is it Katie Robert?
Well, my dad came around yesterday and he was like, "Oh, what are you reading?" And then he looked at Hook, Line, and Sinker. I went, "Oh, just a romance." You pointed at it, and everyone was like, "It's just a romance."
Yeah. I'd taken a Very Merry Bromance downstairs yesterday, and my niece had come round, and I'd like not taken it upstairs before family started coming over, and she just kept pointing at it, going, "Christmas tree," and I was like, "Yeah, it's a Christmas tree. Let me take that." And it's just like, "Read it," and I was like, "This is a book that had her womb clenched in it." I was like, let's not read that to my like less than 2-year-old niece. I know. It was bad. I'd 4-star book, enjoyed it. Not the best scene.
There will be other characters to hate so much more. Grace.
No, my God, don't.
If no one who's reading those books for the first time hates Grace as much as I do, I'm going to be so disappointed. Because like I don't understand how anyone might end up liking Grace because there's nothing to like about her.
No, the fact that she's on the cover of book 3 fills me with anger.
And also the fact they're like, "Oh, but you can reverse the cover and have James," unless you're in the UK because it's a hardback, no dust jacket, and then you just get James on the inside of the book. It's like, no, I don't want it. I do want more of Katrina Loss because she is amazing. Loved Simon and George's bromance. And the fact that they ended up in a room where there was constantly like rats, and they named every single rat John Cartwright. It's like, R.I.P. John Cartwright.
I loved them, but like the fact that they continued to live in the slime room when like they could have maybe moved, I was like, why? The fact that they could have just been like, hey Magnus, you know how like I stopped you from having to give up your immortality that one time. Maybe you could just clean my room, maybe?
Like, fix the issue in the dungeons? Maybe while you're at it, make it so the food doesn't all taste disgusting. How did the food issue not get fixed in the 2 years they was at the academy?
Like, I don't drink coffee, but the fact that none of them were just like, "Bitch, you need to bring some coffee." Do not understand.
But the fact that George was like, "Oh, you're my best friend. I know I'm not yours. But like, I would choose you in my parabita. I know that you wouldn't choose me, but I would choose you." And I'm like, why? Why are you choosing?
It's too soon for me to cry.
Do you know what broke me? Well, no, I've read this book before, so I knew. But the first time I ever read it, it was this line that I knew exactly what was going to happen when he calls George his brother.
Oh.
I was just like, that is it. Like, I'm crying for the rest of the book from that moment. Like, no stopping.
Like, no, you're not my
constant tears.
No.
And like the fact that Simon and George were the last two to ascend, and Simon got through it fine, and everyone else had got through it fine. I was like, oh my god,
that little high five. And I was like,
I'm not okay.
No.
I knew it would come in, especially after they did the high five, and it was just like, yeah, see you on the other side kind of thing, and I was just like, no, nope.
Like, I was just like, how dare you not find George worthy? Like, George?
Have everybody, George.
And like, he was like gonna make the Lovelace name great again, and I'm just like. But another thing that broke me was the fact that George went to the London Institute. I was just like, and like that little thing where like Simon sees George with Jessamine, and I'm like, stop it.
And he like smiles at him. I'm like, bitch, fuck off. No.
I'm gonna come back to comments, but no, we are not okay.
No, it's very sad. I was talking to my friend about this earlier. I was like, George was only in one book, and it was short stories, so he wasn't even in a lot of the book. And I'm still crying over the fact that he died. How has this happened?
Like, managed to get like so much like love for this character from so little interactions compared to all the other characters throughout all the books we've read in these series so far, and it's just.
I will say, I'm glad I know what a Scottish accent actually sounds like, because their Scottish accents were fucking shite. Absolutely abysmal. I'm like, dude, what accent is this?
I had to stop listening to the audiobook. I was like, I physically can't do it anymore. It was so bad.
Like, even the English guy, I can't remember who the narrator was, but I was like, dude, you could do better.
I'm pretty sure at one point Sam Ewan was doing it, and I'm like, I'm sure he's Scottish and he's English. And I was like, what's happening?
I'm pretty sure one of them was narrated by, I can never remember his name, Luke something. He played Freddie in Skins. Oh, and he's British, so I know he can talk in a British accent, and I don't understand why his chapter.
Luke Pasquale.
That's the one. Yeah, him.
He was my like ultimate crush from Skins.
Oh, sorry, same.
Sorry, I just went back in my mind there.
But like, I don't understand why his chapter sound like his accent sounded so weird. Like, he is literally British.
Yeah,
I know he sounds good British because I watched the Skins.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, but despite that, like, I think it's because every time George was described, he was just endearing, just like he and it was a case of don't judge a book by its cover, so he looks like a typical jock walking around with his rugby shirts on, but he was an actual cinnamon roll, and he was just super sweet. And then every time you met him, it was just kind of like he was being sweet, or he's being a bit of a nerd, or like. And then when Simon was like, he even went and got himself graphic novels or manga, whatever it was, just because Simon had liked it.
And he was like half in love with every woman he ever spoke to, and he was like jealous of the fact that they were all in love with Simon, but like he didn't know what to do about it. And I was like, George, I love you. And like all he did was like complain about sheep, and I'm like, I love that this is your biggest problem.
That's me, half in love with every fictional character I ever meet.
Same. It's not fair.
Half? Just half in love?
Well, full.
Also, I second this. For the Dark Artifices, Lord of Shadows and Queen of Rain Darkness are narrated by James Masters, and he is incredible. There is one character in particular, the accent he does, he sounds like Spike from Buffy. Ooh. And I'm here for it.
Which
bit
was that? The second.
Lord of Shadows and Queen of Rain Darkness.
I've got.
I don't know why he doesn't narrate Lady Midnight, but the one who does narrate Lady Midnight is really good. I can never remember her name, but she was in Deadpool. She played Wade Wilson's girlfriend.
Yeah, you
was in Firefly.
That before.
I'm gonna borrow it.
Marina Baccarin.
That's the one. I can never remember her name, but
how you say her surname, but
she is really good, but she's not James Masters. Just saying. I cried so much during Crescent City 1 because of how much I fell for certain characters. So I can only imagine how I'll be reading Queen of Rain Darkness for the first time.
Like, well, Yeah.
Oh,
huh?
I'm nervous.
I am excited.
No, well, because I'm already going to be emotionally damaged in January when Chain of Thorns comes out. To then also be reading Lady Midnight, like that's not okay.
Lady Midnight isn't that emotionally damaging. It's a little bit, but not like massively. I don't think you'll cry at Lady Midnight. I don't even know if you'll cry at Lord of Shadows, but I feel like you will cry at Queen of Air and Darkness, because Queen of Air and Darkness is very much dealing with the events of Lord of Shadows, which breaks me. So yeah, it's gonna be a roller coaster, and I'm not ready.
Smash, I'm gonna need some comfort fudge for when it comes down to that. So just giving you a few months head notice, like a bit of warning, 4 months warning. Like if you could possibly make some time in your calendar for around the time we're gonna be reading Queen of Air and Darkness, because I feel like fudge may be required. Thank you very much.
Also, I have the audiobook for it.
Yeah. My library's got all of the audiobooks. My library's got all of the audiobooks for that one. Dark Artifices.
I picked them up in all like the £3 sales. Like every so often, I would just like grab one, even though I had no intention of reading it. I just like maybe one day.
Just in case.
All this happening,
you're like, one day I'm going to meet someone, and they're going to have something called ByTheAngelAlong.
Yeah.
Make me want to find
Meg.
Well, because like I bought all of the paperbacks as they were coming out just because, and I was like, maybe one day I will read these, and I don't know why I did, because like I really didn't have any intention to, but I was like, I don't really want my collection to not be complete.
That's fair. Yeah, but yeah, no, the audiobooks are amazing. Like I got the audiobooks, and the last time I reread them, I did the audiobooks, and I was just having the best time with the audiobooks. I don't like that it was said on live. We don't need that.
Yeah. If I had to read it, you'll have to suffer it.
Yeah, why was the food always so weird? But they kept eating it and they survived.
That's so weird.
But what gets me is there is literally a warlock there. There's a warlock there. She could have done something about it, or Magnus came along. He could have done something about it.
He fixed the tower.
Exactly.
But didn't fix everything else. He
benefited from that though.
He got a suite. Well, a suite with a bedroom.
He got a kitchenette.
Yeah. Yeah, a little kitchenette.
I never anticipated George to die. I read it and was so shocked. I had a feeling from about halfway through, because Simon was just so happy having a best friend that wasn't Clary. A best friend that was like, that he remembered every memory with as well.
That was so cute.
And
that was also like new to the world and like had a lot of similar sort of like, oh yeah, this is fucked up kind of moments.
Yeah, like he was adopted into the family.
Yeah.
And then, as it got nearer to the end, I was like, oh no, I know what's going to happen here. I don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped reading it for like 3 weeks because I didn't want to be sad.
Yeah, when you said like you stopped because you think because it was going to get sad and you think you're going to cry, I thought that might be the reason why.
Was this the first time you read it, Meg?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You skipped it last time.
It does really annoy me though. The audiobooks for the short story collections aren't available in the UK. It is so hard to find them.
Speaking of the audio, one of the stories cut. Like it was the story. I was gonna say one of the stories I can't talk about. We're talking spoilers anyway. But the one where Michael,
the Benedict Lightwood one.
Yeah, the Benedict Lightwood one. It cut just as Michael. It was like, "What's wrong?" And they were sat there talking, and you knew Michael was going to tell him, or you knew Michael was feeling a certain kind of way, and then it was just like, boom, end. Just the rest of the fucking story, just not there. And I was at Ed's house, and I was like, Meg, the story.
I was at work. I was furious.
I was like,
I was like listening to it on my work computer, because I could just put my headphones on and look like I was doing work. And I was doing work. I was just doing work with an audiobook playing. So I was like typing away my notes and like doing all my paperwork. And then suddenly it stopped and I was like, this is infuriating because I can't carry on with the next story because I don't want to continue to the next story until this is finished. But I like my book is at home. I can't carry on with it until I get home in like 5 hours.
I was at Ed's and I did continue with the rest of the story. It's not gonna lie. I found out what happened from the comments of the video. And gave you a bit of a rundown of what actually happened in that book. And then I was like, I'm kind of glad it did cut out because I probably would have been really sad and cringed at the fact that Benedict acted all freaked out.
Honestly, this made me hate Benedict more than I already did, and that's impressive.
I was like, I thought this was going to be a way, because it was kind of hinting that he was feeling a certain kind of way, and he should really be in love with Mary's, but didn't really feel that way. So I was like, maybe he is in love with his Parabatai, and he shouldn't be.
I just realised you're calling him Benedict. It's Robert.
Oh yeah, that's me. I did that.
Benedict like worm.
Yeah.
It's from the
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember this, and then you're standing about. I was like, nope, that's Robert.
Yeah, Robert.
Yeah, that is Robert.
Yeah, that one.
I dislike him enough that I just thought I'd call him the demon worm name.
But when he was like, oh, he didn't feel like as in love with her as he should have been, and I was like, oh, maybe it's because it's hinting at the fact that he has feelings for Michael and Michael has feelings for him. But obviously, because it's not really a thing to be gay, and obviously we know how he acted with Alec, I was like, maybe it's because he started having feelings for a guy in his private time he should have done. But no.
I really don't like how it felt like that story was trying to make you feel sorry for Robert. But I like how Izzy was like, no, you're not going to make me feel sorry for you. Like, I like how she put her foot down, and also she was like, no, Simon, stay. And Simon was like, no, I can go. No, you're not, you're staying. And it's like, okay. And Simon just stood there like watching this argument, and it's like, poor Simon. But also, I really liked how they did the little test to see if Izzy could like trick them into summoning this demon, like, because it's just like, it's very clever. Like, yeah, she tricked them, but also it's very relevant. They've just been hearing how Valentine lured all the circle members over to the dark side, and then like they're willing to go follow Izzy, a pretty girl, to go summon a like, no, are you stupid? The answer is yes, clearly, apart from 2 of you.
Yeah, the fact that one of them was just immediately they were like, no, we would never do that, and then they were like, literally did the opposite of what they said they were going to do, and only a few people had brain cells.
Was it Julie that went?
Yes.
As well. I love how she went literally just because she was jealous that everyone was following Izzy. She was like, she's so pretty.
I didn't really like Julie.
Why are you all following her? Like, this is not okay. And then she got like angry at Simon for not stopping it because obviously Simon, like Izzy was going to listen to Simon. Like, that's not how it works. I was like, she literally just went and told on them because she was jealous that no one was listening to her because Izzy was pretty. I was like, Julie, you need to get your priorities sorted out.
It's not, oh, there's someone in a demon that they shouldn't be summoning. It's, oh, she's pretty, or they think she's prettier than me, and they're not falling over me. So I'm telling you.
Because I feel like this was around the time that George was hitting that Julie liked Simon, and then Julie got mad that Izzy showed up, and Simon was trying to talk to her, and Izzy was ignoring him.
Yeah. That was all very confusing.
Do you know one thing that really broke me? Helen being made to stand in front of the class and talk about her parents. And I was just like, I hate how the Clave are treating like Helen and Mark. And then when we see Mark,
No, and the fact that Simon was just like, Simon was like brutally honest, even though because he didn't feel like he could be any other way, but like, no, that they're not looking for it. And then Mark was like, oh, and there was like really, he's going to be lost to the fairies. Like he's not the Mark that went in to the Wild Hunt. But the fact that he reminds himself of his family's names because he doesn't want to lose himself, and the fact that because he's remembering everything, he still remembers the people. He now remembers that they're all going to continue with their lives without him because the Clave have been like, "Nah, mate, you're our fae, so we're not coming for you." I was like,
it hurt me.
I love
and then Simon telling Helen about it at her wedding. I was like, oh.
Time and place, Simon. Time and place.
Yeah. And I was like, and then not telling Mark about the fact that Helen isn't looking after them because like she's been exiled to like Scary Island. Like,
I'm kind of glad he didn't do that because I feel like Mark probably would have lost his shit.
Mark deserves to know. Himself killed trying to get out of Fairy.
Yeah.
And get away from the Wild Hunt.
Do you think he deserves to know? I do think the Dark Artifices is going to hurt me, though.
I'm scared.
Moving on. Hi, sorry I'm a bit late. I was seeing my dad. Hope you had a nice time.
Hi, Lottie.
No, we're not.
Is this when we were actively crying?
Yeah. Max, Raphael. Max, can we talk about Max?
Oh, baby Max.
Max.
It's like the not dead one, sure.
That's why I specified Max Lightwood Bane. And also, can we just like appreciate how everyone turned into like, oh my god, baby! Like the moment, and
Magnus was just there like, we're not keeping the baby.
We're keeping this baby.
They're all choosing for him. Like, oh, have you picked a name? And let's name feed him. Let's baby proof the room using your shirt. That made me laugh. And James is like, not a paternal bond in his body, or doesn't come across like he would do. And Izzy is just like, baby proof. Let's baby proof the room. Do you want his hand goes through the crack? No, you don't.
Was it Clary or James that was like holding Max like, I don't know what to do with this baby?
It was Jace, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
It's just like, take the baby off me.
Yeah.
And then like at the party, them like, Timon, you've had him for 4 minutes, it's me now.
Yeah,
because Simon gave Robert his watch and he was like, this is how you like use the timer function. He was like, got some brownie points with the girlfriend's dad.
But Mavis and Robert trying to be like doting grandparents was just like, ew. I'm sorry, it was funny, but it's kind of like, you were barely there for your own kids. Like, stop.
Yeah.
In on your like just acquiring a grandson, and then Robert trying to be all pally with Magnus after clearly being cold with him and like not accepting them as a gay couple, but you're a gay couple that has a baby. Yeah, I'm down for this. Like, you're a twat. You really are the biggest bellend ever. Like, what? Oh no, I couldn't get behind that. It made me cringe every time I read when he came on page. I was like, nah. The rest of them I could get behind because they're all like close anyway, but those two just popping up and I was like, nah.
I really don't like how it feels like Cassie's trying to give Robert a redemption arc, but he doesn't deserve a redemption arc at this point. There are some characters that deserve redemption arcs. He is not one of them. George was worthy. Cassie just loves to see us suffer. A truer statement has never been said. I'm not laughing at you guys crying, but Meg's comments have me cackling. I mean, it is my favourite series, so I'm very excited to reread it. And I've seen a lot of people stopped reading after like this point and they didn't continue for Dark Artifices, and it makes me sad because so much happens in that trilogy. And I think part of the reason that people do stop because it's such a big series, like those books
they're chunky.
Especially when you compare them to like Infernal Devices and stuff. But it's because there's so much that happens, and honestly some people might not think it's all needed, but I disagree.
They're all like 600-page books each, I reckon.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm used to thick ones, so it doesn't matter.
That's what she said.
I know what I mean. Chunky ones, like chunky books. Like,
see, I gave up just because there were like so many, and she was just announcing more and more things, and I was just like, do I want to be reading this when I'm like 40? And I was like, yeah, I guess I do. Yeah, sure, let's go for it.
We'll be doing another ByTheAngelAlong in like 20 years' time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how long it's going to take for the Wicked Powers to probably come out. The thing is, we only have, once Chain of Thorns comes out at the end of next month, we only have 4 confirmed books. We do know that the Wicked Powers trilogy is the end of the Shadowhunters Chronicles, but I don't know if, because we've still got our Eldest Curses books, I don't know if we're getting another short story collection. I hope we are. Katrina Lost.
About Katrina Lost.
I don't have Katrina Lost, but I don't know if we are getting another short story collection. But the Wicked Powers trilogy is my most anticipated series of all time because of the characters that are in it. But I can't tell you the characters that are in it because
After which book will we know?
Queen of Our Darkness.
Okay, so by the end of Queen of Our Darkness, we'll all know who you are looking forward to.
Yeah.
And then we can discuss it.
And
then the Queen of Our Darkness live show, I'm going to be like, okay, so I can now tell you.
Oh no, you've got to make us guess. We've got to guess.
Oh yes. Oh my god, yeah.
You have to guess.
I feel like by the end of my life, I'm going to be making batches of fudge for every sad book my friends read.
True, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Hello, we are good.
Woo-woo.
Benedict Lightworm, Lightwood, again. I don't even see Lightwood anymore. It's just automatically Benedict Lightworm.
Lightworm.
Demon
I
worm.
feel like in my brain, I was just like, yeah, the shitty Lightwood. And then...
Yeah.
Both
yeah. It was just automatically Benedict rather than Robert, because Benedict
that was
is
a good
more amusing.
A good example of someone that deserved their redemption arc. Gabriel. He deserved his redemption arc.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one I can think of that deserves their redemption arc.
In this series.
In this series.
Yeah.
What character? Oh, actually, okay. All right. In the series up to where we've all read on this read along. Yeah, there is a character like
although kind of, it's not really like, it wasn't a massive nerd, a massive twat, but what's his name? The one that was a bit of a gimp to Simon. John.
Oh yeah, John.
Yeah, in first he was a bit like of an ass, but I think it was more it was an ass because
it's very much that's how he's been brought up to think, but once he was made to actually think for himself, he actually he
got
learned.
bullied into being a decent person.
Yeah, exactly. As you should.
I wouldn't really class his as a redemption arc. He just become a better person because he learned.
Yeah.
He learned.
He never did anything sort of like massively.
No, it was just comment.
Yeah,
but he
was
learned.
Just a bit of a dick.
Yeah. I was confused. I was like, was he in this book? That was my least favorite story. I kept thinking, are they really this dumb? It's really interesting having a fuzzy memory of this book and being reminded of parts of this book. Oh, Helen and Mark, the Clave are honestly just horrible and they never change.
But they will, because Simon is now,
I will say, you've got a few more books. You've got a few more books of hating the Clave more and more.
Can we just appreciate though that Katrina still called him Daylighter, even though he was no longer a Daylighter? She was like,
"He'll always be Daylighter.
Special. You are special. We are going to make a change. We're going to change things. I just know this, so I'm going to still make you stand up by calling you Daylighter, even though you are no longer a vampire."
Oh, that just reminded me. The whole Katrina thing, where she told him about the
lost child
she adopted.
Yes. Who is he?
It was dead. Don't know. You're gonna have to find out.
But like, do we find out?
We do.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I will say I'm not going to tell you when you find out, because that is something you need to figure out yourself when you read them. But you do. I know. So it's in one of the released books.
Well, that doesn't help because you read everything up to date.
Oh, you know what made me angry? Robert Lightwood's story with like seeing Stephen Herondale, and I was like, you ruined this. Like, this was you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like, I have such fond memories of all the other Herondales.
Yeah.
And then
and then there was him.
Yeah. And he was like so perfect and so in love with, I can't remember her name, but you know. Amethyst, Luke's sister. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was like so like messed up about the fact that Tessa existed that he just like ruined everything. And I was like, my dude, I really want to just stab you a little bit.
Stab it.
It's like a little bit.
But also, one thing that angers me about that is that because he wasn't around, the Clave punished his pregnant wife. Like, do you see why everyone hates the Clave? Like, there's just all these little things, and then there's the big things, and they all just add up. And like, is there anything?
And it wasn't done that to the Herondales either, because we have the lost Herondale. I was like, Tobias Herondale.
Yeah.
Like punished his wife. That's like messed up. That's some Machiavellian shit.
Yeah,
it is ridiculous.
The thing is, like, they don't seem to learn from the mistakes either. Clearly, the way that they've been acting has not worked. There's constant wars, there's constant rebellions, there's constant like more Shadowhunter deaths and more downloader deaths than needs to be, because you are so stuck up your own asses that you can't see the like stereotyping a whole fucking type of people because there was a sect of people in that sort of. Oh, I'm just like, oh, how can you not? Like, how can you? How?
It's so hard not saying stuff right now because I just want to talk about it. I say something.
Simon on the head of the Clave and just change everything. And like, do you know what? Like, I'm a Shadowhunter now, bitch. I'm going to take over the Clave, and things are going to change. No discrimination. You discriminate, you get jailed. End of.
Get lightly stabbed.
Just a tip.
Yeah.
I love the baby. Domestic Malik is everything. Can we appreciate Magnus going down to the cafeteria looking like that? And
looking like a dad.
Sorry to burst everyone's bubble. And is it Beatrice that sees him? And it just like has the illusion completely.
Yeah. I also love how when Simon and Izzy are in Magnus and Alex's apartment in the last story, it's just like a baby shop threw up in there. They're just like, yeah, let's get rid of all of these like stuffed toys and like it's just all this crap everywhere.
I love it.
Let's get rid of all this stuff while they're not here, and then we're gonna get it on the sofa.
Yeah.
Not even in the spare room. The sofa.
Oh god! But I loved the fact that, like, for Alec, it didn't seem to even be a question for him that they were going to take it in, and when obviously because Magnus has like the horrors of like abandoned warlock baby and like, you know, that kind of thing, especially because it was blue and it didn't look normal, and he was kind of like freaking out, like, and like traumatized over the whole thing, and Alec was just like, I'm gonna take this baby. I'm gonna look after
the way you paused then though, after the way Magnus had the horrors, and I'm like,
I liked how they were like, oh, it's blue, not because it's got hypothermia.
Yeah. Yeah. I also love how like George was just like, it's like, we can just put it in the drawer. And I'm like, no, George, my baby, you cannot do that with a baby. You cannot keep a baby in the sock drawer.
I love how George was all ready for him and Simon to look after this baby.
Yeah. He was just like, we can be fun parents together.
Thank fuck for Alex though, being like the logical one. But bless, when Magnus was freaking out, you could kind of think like it must be traumatic, like remembering and like not. And obviously, he loved Alec, and he was would hope that Alec would do the decent thing. But again, bringing back his previous history with Shadowhunters, when he mentioned like reminding us about the whole plate situation in previous book, and I was like, and Alec was like, no, I'm just gonna look after him, and like they had the conversation about naming him Max, and I was just like, oh my god, this is just so fucking cute. Communication. They communicated. I was just like, growth. They talked.
Growth in this book, and this is why this one is so important to read. Like, don't skip. Don't skip.
No. I imagine if I had skipped, I'd have been so confused reading Lady Midnight, because I wouldn't have considered reading this when they were first coming out. I'd just been like, oh, the short stories, nah. They're just like voluntary. No.
Voluntary.
I will say, like, this isn't a spoiler because we know. Like in Lady Midnight, when Magnus pops up and he's got a child, everyone who hasn't read this is gonna be like,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Whose kid is this?
Like,
where did you get a blue child from?
It's like, why do you have a baby? And also been like, am I supposed to know much about Emma and Julian? Like, yeah, we saw them for like 30 seconds back in the Mortal Instruments. I would have like,
And can we just appreciate again Robert being an absolute ass? Like, I wouldn't blame you if you made this baby. I'm like,
Robert and Magnus created him. Like, no.
Magnus created him.
Robert, get out.
No.
Just get out.
Please get back in your box. You might be the head of the fucking whatever. I don't even know what you are now, but you need to get in the bin.
Inquisitor,
that's it.
Like, how did you get that position? Like, how? I wouldn't have voted for him.
Ex-circle member, cheating spouse, absolute asswipe.
I mean, it's the claim, so he fits right in. Yeah, Penhallow doesn't fit in as the consul. Like, she's the only good egg in the entire clave. I love that they discussed the ship name. Like, they mentioned Malik, and I was like, thank you.
I was like, oh my god, I was like, what do we call them? Speaking of names, Simon running through band names again.
Oh.
I was like, old Simon is back.
Yeah, George offering for the baby to live in the sea. Love that story, Baby Max, when they was all in the room together. That was the funniest at the little party they threw. I loved that. Lisa's just the thick ones. Oi, Lisa. That noise, Lisa.
I'm sorry.
The Dark Art of Isis are chunky, but I think they're really quick to read.
I find all of her books really fast to read.
Yeah.
Literally devoured them.
Like, if you'd have told me I had 200 pages left to read before Harper 7 tonight of any other book, I'd have been like, oh my god, seriously? But I was like,
I had so few pages. I was just putting them off because I didn't want to suffer the emotional damage.
I finished all of the stories except that last one about a week and a half ago, and I've just been putting off that last story because
I think it was like the first weekend of December I finished. It was like
when I put it into Core Pile, it said it took me 24 days.
Yeah, we all just didn't want to be sad.
But really, we were all on the second to last or last story, really, until today.
This is the November book, and we all read it in December. It's fine. We all finished it before the live show, and the live show wasn't postponed because we hadn't finished it. It was postponed because I was ridiculously ill. Like, I'm still ill, but I'm doing better. But you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would have finished it on the day had we had the live show on that day. I stopped reading it because I was like, I'm going to be too sad. I'll just save it till closer.
I think I remembered who the Lost Herondale is.
I'm intrigued.
Preach it, Lisa. I think this is my favourite so far. Yes. I wasn't going to read this book. My friend told me I had to read this one. Very glad I did.
Yes.
I would like to thank your friend for telling you that. They are correct. I skipped this book before, so I was confused when reading The Dark Artifices. I think I only read part of it, as I remember Izzy turning up in one of the earlier stories.
Yeah.
I find so hard as all the stories blend into one, but oh my god, do those who haven't read them all have a lot to come? See, the thing is with this, like, yes, it is a short story collection, but it should not be marketed as a short story collection.
No, they weave really nicely.
Yeah, like with the Bane Chronicles, you can kind of read them all out of order. Like, there's not really an order to them.
Yeah.
But this literally, I don't like passing this as a short story collection because it's not. It's an actual.
Yeah, it's a story that spans over 2 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are other stories within it. Like, they're literally like, you know, they'll stand there and tell you a story. It's a book with a story within a book. But it follows Simon through his 2 years at Shadowhunter.
And it's setting up other books as well really nicely. Yeah. If it's a short story collection, you probably would expect not to have.
Yeah, exactly.
A cohesive, like, follow through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, not only does this set up the Dark Artifices very nicely, but it also sets up part of like Chain of Gold as well, with the like the story, like the stories set in the past, and it's just like.
I want to know more about Shadow Boy.
Huh?
James.
I want to know more about Shadow Boy.
Shadow Boy. Oh, don't worry, you're going to get to meet James.
I love him so much.
I think he was just. I will take back what I said. I will admit that I was wrong about him when I first saw him in the book, but I wanted to just take him into account and protect him.
Yeah.
In his little books, he likes to read. Leave him alone. He likes to read.
When he was just like not going home because he didn't want to hurt his mom, and I was like,
but also, can we appreciate the fact they blew up the academy?
That was epic.
Let's not say they. James had very little to do with this. Matthew just enabled Christopher. I feel like Thomas also had fuck all to do with this.
Thomas was just in the crossfire of this.
Yeah.
Because if Thomas had been involved, he would have been like, no, Matthew, don't let him do this.
Yeah.
And Christopher was I feel like Christopher was like innocent because he wouldn't have meant to blow up the academy.
No. It's just Matthew gave him the equipment in which to do so. I was like, feel free. I think Chris reminds me very much of Henry. It's like, he's oblivious to like the thought process behind things, and he's very easily led. So if Henry had been told to do something just because, he'd have done it. And like Chris is very much that, which is I get why Matthew felt like he had to look after both of them when they were together, because like they get into trouble like unintentionally. But he was basically like, "Oh, Chris, you like inventing things and doing like ego," and then it was like, I'm out because I'm gonna get done for this. I'm gonna expel myself. I was like, fuck. And then he was like, "Oh well, we're parabatai." I was like, "Oh well, if you're parabatai, you can't be split now."
I loved Will's reaction to James and Matthew. I loved Matthew in this one because he was just like so charming, and he was so offended that James didn't like him just because he was charming. And I loved how like sad Thomas was that James just wasn't going to give Matthew a chance. Like,
yeah,
I loved him.
Initially, I didn't like Matthew though because I did think he was a. But I think
well, we were getting it from James's point of view.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. You were very much supposed to feel that way, but then when Matthew was like, "I was just trying to be your friend. Like, I was trying to make you like me. I was jealous of you." And then he was like, "What? I was jealous of you?" And then I was like, "Oh my god, you are both so cute! Like, you were just adorable."
I think it's like it's refreshing almost to like go to like Matthew being the golden boy, even though James is Will's son and we expect James to have like main character energy or whatever, like whereas like Matthew seemed to like get all of it, and I was like, this was unexpected from Cassie. But like I love James so much.
I love them so much. Yeah, I was putting off the story for the live so I could feel it. Then realised it was not a good idea, so I read it yesterday on sprints. Or was it Saturday I read it? No, it was yesterday. I read it on sprints and had to turn my camera off. And then I come back from the sprint and my face was still red and I was still a bit emotional.
Oh, I don't remember this. Maybe this was after I left.
I think it was when you was at your brother's.
Ah, okay, those sprints. Okay.
Yeah, and I was just like, and I think Siobhan was on those sprints, so they saw my reaction. I missed their reaction on live sprints for something on Kingdom of Ash because my grandparents were here.
Speaking of, Siobhan messaged me earlier and said that they're going to time lapse them listening to the last 45 minutes for our viewing pleasure. So I really hope they have.
Had to take my time with this book because I've been so busy. Yeah, this is why it didn't happen in November because I shouldn't say I slumped in November. I slumped on certain books because I read a lot in November, but not much of what I was supposed to read. I agree.
Start with fan and end in fiction.
Still follow the series. They're like at least we read at a certain time when reading all the books. Yes.
Don't do what I did and not read Ghost of the Shadow Market before Chain of Gold.
I don't think I've read that one.
So you did it twice
until after Queen of Air and Darkness, but then I just read the stories I needed to.
I
haven't read the whole thing.
So you're telling me you did this twice? You missed this. Dark Advices. Okay.
I wouldn't suggest reading Lost Book of the White before this book either. Oh yeah, Lost Book of the White has to be read after this. Ghost of the Shadow Market is April's book because you very much have to read it after Queen of Air and Darkness. You really do, because there are short stories after.
Oh my god, I've been lying to you all this entire show. So I cried at Ghost of the Shadow Market. That's the first Cassie book that made me cry.
Oh,
I'm curious.
After this live, please message me separately to tell me what you cried at because I'm intrigued.
I'm intrigued.
It wasn't anything like specific. It was just like Jem existing and being sad.
Okay,
that got to me. Yeah,
that's fair. It really does bug me how we do not get the Bane or this Audible books as they're some of my faves. Yeah. It's really frustrating that we can't get them here. I don't understand. Like, they're published here. Give us the audio.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Yeah, the voice notes I got, I was genuinely concerned. They're braver than I am. This is about Siobhan's time lapse. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Nope. This is the order that I read them in because I read Ghost of the Shadow Market after Queen of Air and Darkness, and I think that's a good spot to read it. But yeah, the Red Scrolls of Magic and Lost Book of the White are after that, and then we start on Chain of Gold and that.
Well, it gives me a chance to get it then because I want them all in hardback. So I found Lost Book of the White in hardback, so I'm gonna get it.
See, if you go in order, the Chain of Gold and Red Scrolls of Magic and that, they're all in between each other, and I don't. That you can read it like that, but I like to stick to the actual series, and there's nothing in those two series that really affects each other. So I just was like, we'll do Red Scrolls of Magic and Lost Book of the White first, then we'll do Chain of Gold and that.
Yeah, I got the Red Scrolls of Magic and Lost Book of White when was it Illumicrate did a set?
Yes. Yeah.
And then I also have got the Waterstones Red Sprayed Edge edition because someone was getting rid of it. So
I've got the Waterstones of both, and I really like how Lost Book of the White, because they changed the artwork when they brought out Lost Book of the White. They had a reversible dust jacket, so you had the old artworks and the new. So I've got that set and I switched the dust jacket, and then I also got the Illumicrate, which has the new artwork for both.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen when the third one comes out, because I don't know if they're going to do the reversible dust jacket thing again. I hope they do. We'll see. I
don't own either of them. but I want them in paperback because I have everything else other than special editions.
I've got a very mixed.
They're both out in paperback now.
Yeah, well, they weren't when I was like first looking for them, and I've just like not considered it since. But they're going on my wish list now, so I remember to buy them later.
I made the bad choice of deciding to get them all in hardback, and now that I've started to get the series in hardback, I have to get the rest. I found Brain Chronicles. I found Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. It took me forever, but I found Lost Book of the White. I'm hoping it's still in stock by the time I get to buy it. The only ones I was struggling, well, I'm not going to struggle with per se, but I'm going to have to wait for the editions that came out of Mortal Instruments. I'm getting those in those special editions that came out. Yeah. Well, not special editions, the new edition type thing that came out.
No, they're special editions, they're rune editions. Because they're the 15-year anniversary ones.
Well, yeah.
I've got the first one of that now. Hadn't planned to get it. My friend just gave it to me because she works at Walker Books. And now I'm like, right, well, I've started. So don't leave your job for however long. Because she's already said to me.
You do have it, but it's currently in that box wrapped up because it's a Christmas present.
She already said to me, she was like, message me your address and I'll get you Chain of Thorns when it comes out. Oh, I can get you the rest of them if you want. And I was like, don't tell her I've already got them. I'll have more.
I love that.
You do. It's fine. They are the books for May and June. May, your busiest month, Ashley. It's quite a small book and it's very easy to read, so it's fine.
But did you say that you can read the Chain of Gold ones before or after Lost Book of White? Either way.
Yeah, you can read them before like and Lost Book of the White if you want. I just wanted to keep that trilogy together because I don't want to be that person that's like, oh, we finished Chain of Iron. I'm going to make you wait to read Chain of Thorns because
I would have done that. I had to wait so long. You can wait a month.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I can't do that.
We've already established that I'm like meaner than you.
Meg's a savage. Savage.
I've pre-ordered Waterstone Special Edition of the Last Hours book released in January. The Chain of Thorns one. Yes, I have. Yeah, they do a rune edition. So.
Oh, I don't think I know that.
Do you know what? I'm not going to attempt it because they're underneath.
I just get whatever those hardback ones are, that like the first collector's edition ones. They're the ones, just the ones I get.
Printed
one person on the front.
They're nice.
Yeah, that's the standard edition.
Yeah.
So I've got that one pre-ordered. I've got the rune edition pre-ordered. I've got the Illumicrate one, and I will be getting the Fairy Loot one as well because I have all 4 of the other 2 books in that trilogy. I don't have.
Where are we going, Becca?
Because I'm never getting Chain of Gold in the rune edition. Like that's never happening. It's like unless I'm willing to pay like hundreds of pounds for it.
I learnt my lesson after Lady Midnight because I never got the rune edition of Lady Midnight because I hadn't read Lady Midnight. So even though I'd read all the other books by this point and loved them, I was like, oh no, I'm not going to pre-order that just in case. I've not done that since. I've pre-ordered every rune edition the moment they go up.
Have you got the other edition of Lady Midnight where it's like blue?
Yeah,
the rune edition.
No, the
other one.
The one where she's like light blue on the front with the gold spine. The Waterstone special edition that they had.
I've only ever seen
the 5-year anniversary edition.
Yeah,
I've got that edition as well.
I've got that in. I've got the Lord of Shadows on
because I think it's kind of ugly.
I mean, yeah, but it also has a short story in that I wanted to read.
Oh.
But I can always take pictures of the short story and send it to you if you want to read it.
I've got.
I didn't get the pre-order for the Chain of Gold one because I just wasn't sure I was going to read it, and then I was like, Megan, let's be real. It's about the children of Will and Tessa. You're going to read it. So I got the Fairy Loot one.
Yes, I've got the Waterstone special editions of Lady Midnight and Lord of Shadows, and I'm gonna get round to Queen of Air and Darkness before it comes out in Waterstone. So I just have to audiobook it or get a
hangover kit.
Borrow a physical copy of someone.
I have the Illumicrate editions, and then I got Fake Rate's Hangover kit, so I switched the Book of White to the old style, and now I want Red Scrolls and hardback for a matching set. I got that Hangover kit, and I didn't get it for the book. I got rid of the book because I was like, I don't need a third copy of the book because I'm not going to get the matching one. I only got the Hangover kit because I wanted the plushie of Max. He is. I will take a picture of the plushie and I'll put it in the Discord. He is adorable and I love him so much.
I mean, Blue Max.
Yeah. And it's a little plushie. It was when I started to not like the designs of the plushies, so he's not my favourite of the Fake Rate plushies, but I think he was one of the last ones I got, to be fair. But yeah, like that was the only reason I bought that Hangover kit, was because I wanted the plush of Max.
I've literally been sat here panicking that I've ignored the Fairy Loot Chain of Thorns sale. I was like, I bought the Illumicrate one, but like I don't remember buying the. It goes on sale in January. Like it's out in January. Where's the point of that?
I mean, are we shocked?
It's fine because I've not forgotten to order it, so it's okay.
Well, it's like
I will have a.
I would have like told you, been like, Meg, Fairy Loot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was like, I know I've ordered the Illumicrate, but I'm not keeping the book, so that's
it's like I got the email from Fairy Loot that was like, oh, we're prepping your December adult box, shipping between December something and January 10th, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? January 10th?
And Kingdom of the Feared got prepped the other day, didn't it?
Yeah.
For delivery, and I'm just like,
Daughter of the Pirate King duology hasn't. It's like one of my Christmas presents from my parents. It was supposed to ship in October, November. I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah, we've derailed it.
All different.
Look, I can't help that May is the busiest, most stressful month, but you get to sing along to 6.
Where's 6?
Yes, but Becca, will you be like me reading? Yes. Me and Meg, the moment we get our hands on Chain of Thorns, we're reading them. Like, not buddy reading. We are both going to be reading the book. Like,
yeah, no, Carrie was like, should we buddy read it? I was like, we can have a chat, but I'm reading it immediately. I'm not splitting
we'll just
it out.
like voice notes and be like, this is from chapter blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be waiting. I'm going to be listening to that and binging it. I'm actually so tempted to take the day off work so I can actually just binge the entire thing. Oh, why do you want this day off work? I want to read a book.
Personal reasons.
It's like my new work colleague this morning was like, how was your weekend? What did you do? And I was like, I read a whole book. And he was like, what? I was like,
you don't understand. I read a book.
I went into work and I was talking to my colleague, and she had asked me like last week what I was doing. And I was saying about like the 48-hour readathon and like explaining what it was. And today she was like, did you finish your book? And I was like, I finished 4 books.
1 book? Who are you? Come on. This is elite. We're elite readers, okay? 1 book.
I got someone asked me today what I did over the weekend, and I was like, oh, I read a little bit, and then I played Mario 3D World, and then I played another Mario game, and we almost got to the end, and then we stopped, and then I just ate Christmas food all weekend, and they're like, oh, so you played games? Yeah, I did. Played games and read a book.
Just quickly, bye Ellie, thank you for joining.
Hi.
I missed out on Queen of Air and Darkness for the Rune edition. I almost cried. Thankfully, she did a book tour and I bought the ticket with the Rune edition. Do you know what? I think they learnt from their mistake with Lady Midnight, because I think there was only over 500 made of the Rune edition of Lady Midnight, which is why it is so incredibly hard to get hold of. But then I think they did 1,000 with Lord of Shadows, and then with Queen of Air and Darkness they did 2,000, and that Waterstones Piccadilly had like a pile of them on a table for months, and I was like so tempted to buy like 3 and just see which of my friends need it and they can just give me the money back for it. Like, I'm not going to go sell them on eBay, which I know people was doing.
Oh god.
Like, I just want to make sure my friends can get them.
Yeah.
But I didn't end up doing it because I was like, they're heavy books and I can't be bothered to carry them.
No, I think I got Chain of Iron in the Rune edition like a month after it come out because they still had stock left. And I was like, and why not? And now I'm like, why have I done this? Never going to have a match, is it? I've just looked. £129.99 is the cheapest I can find Chain of Gold for.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm like, that's
now
one
look
book
at
that
Lady
I've already
Midnight.
read, and I'm like, I own it in multiple formats. I don't need that, right? Lady Midnight.
It's like I own the Illumicrate Chain of Iron, but I don't own the first one, and I'm not getting the third one. So why did I buy it? Don't know. Just
because it was pretty, Catherine.
It was pretty.
That's all you need.
I was pretty, and I was probably influenced. So
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's £400 for Lady Midnight.
That's a starting
for the
bid.
trilogy.
1,500.
1,500 for the trilogy. Oh,
Is
someone
actually
Lady
bidding
Midnight
on
up for £822.
Oh my
no one has bid on. No one's bid on the Lady Midnight on its own. It ends in like just under 2 hours. No one's bid, and it's 400. But like, there's like 2 complete trilogies. One is £950. This isn't bid, and one's £1,500 for the trilogy. That is ridiculous.
What would they have cost at face value originally? Like 20 quid?
Not even 20 quid.
Yeah.
The Rune editions are like £16.99.
Wow. Okay.
No.
Wow.
I don't know how much my Lady Midnight cost because it was bought for me. Only good thing to come out of that thing. But I know it was in 3 digits. I know that much.
Was it? Yeah.
Wow.
I'm just talking myself into spending £130 on a single book. Like, I'm not doing that. But like, my brain is just like, but you could though. That's like, no, Megan, you just bought tickets to New York. Don't do this. Speaking
of, my hands went with a mind of their own the other day. Zach Argyle, if you know me, I like indie books. Hi, and I read The Voice of War on audio in like. That's probably the quickest I read a book.
Is this the broken binding thing that you bought?
Yeah, I accidentally bought a £70 set of books, but they are numbered and signed and dated.
And it was a set.
It was a set, and it is like I've only read the first book, but it was an amazing first book. And Chelsea from Not Sick of Bookaholic, we have very similar tastes, and she adores the series. So I was just like,
because there was another broken binding one where it was only one book and it was
for like £55. It was £55. Yeah, but it was like a bound, gilded edges, like
it was pretty
full page, full double page spread illustrations throughout the book. Like it was amazing, but I was just like, I can't justify that when I've already spent £25 per book for the first 5 that I have already.
Wow.
Okay.
The Max plushie is adorable.
Yeah, I need a picture of that. I waited if he wants
to read Golden Iron, but there's no waiting for Thorns. No. Yeah, if you ever need quick money, buy a edition, wait a month, and put it on eBay.
That's what one of my friends says every time she buys like really like all the sets from like Fairy Little Quick. She's like, if I ever need money quick, I know how I'm getting it.
Oh yeah, I've got like the Green Gong Saga chilling. I've not read that, so like I'd be sad, but it could come. Poppy Wall.
Knowing I will never own the rest of the other series in Rune editions is the only reason I won't ever buy the new books in that style, even though I love them. Yeah. Like the thing is, some of them you can get for a fair price, but Lady Midnight and Chain of Gold you're never gonna get for a fair price. So there's just no point if you're not willing to pay out ridiculous money, and it is ridiculous money. But I don't think I have anything else about the book. This book. I don't think there was anything else.
It was just so fucking good, and I need more Simon in my life.
He's my favourite.
Does anyone else have anything? Oh, this is a funny one. When Izzy takes Simon to get his first weapon, because
I was going to mention that before, because Jace had been like, yeah, I did this with Clary as a date. You're like, why would you take dating advice from Jace? Oh, I also loved at the very, very beginning when Simon was talking about their tragic dates in New York and how like they'd done like 3 things and then like never spoken. No, it wasn't the beginning, was it? It was like in the middle.
Yeah, it was the beginning of one of the stories. Yeah.
Yeah. And like they had like awful dates, and they just like never called,
and he was
like, ruined it forever.
Yeah, he fucking shook her hand.
Oh my god, I love it.
Also, the whole when he didn't like say goodbye to his mum and his sister, and it was just like, well, I'm gonna just find a loophole.
Yeah, it was like Shadowhunter's found him all the time.
They had found a loophole to speak to him. He'll find a loophole to speak to his mum and his sister.
Oh,
and I was
it
just
did
like,
make me sad though when he did sort of get the closure with his mum of her being like, I'm really sad. Like, I feel like I've betrayed you in some way. I was like, bitch, you did. You were terrible.
It broke me reading that in the series, and it broke me all over again because he was very much like he had to pretend that he had no idea what she was about, that she never betrayed him, and I'm like,
and that he believed her, but he knew she was lying, and I'm like, what does that mean, Simon? How can you believe her but know that she's lying? But also, I love how like his sister was ride or die. Like, I love her.
Yeah, I love his sister. I'm like, just go tell your sister everything, because she'd be like, all right, I love you. See you next weekend. Go rough it. Yeah.
But yeah, I just loved this book, even though it hurts me. I love it.
I did like seeing that this was a way of seeing what happens after without there being an epilogue.
Yeah. I really wanted more of Marisol. Like, we got a lot of Marisol, but I wanted more of Marisol. I feel like Marisol was like, she has main character energy.
She was savage, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Sassy, but also, like, I like how like my brain's just blanked. Like, it's completely just blanked on what I was about to say.
Someone's playing The Sims and cancelled your action.
While I try and remember what I was about to say.
I liked the formats of the stories a lot. Like, I liked how some of them were very much just like Simon is hearing someone tell him a story, but some of them are just like, no, this is Magnus's story. Like, it sort of shifted the focus of it. So like Robert's was just like Robert was telling you a story and you sort of got that, but it was mostly happening with like Simon in the forefront. Then like James's story wasn't. Magnus's story, he showed up and you didn't even really get Simon much, to be fair. Like, it was very much just like, yeah, it was Magnus's story. And then like the Lost Herondale, like it was Katrina, like she was telling the story, and Simon was just like listening. But then like the fairy one was very much just like Simon having an adventure and like welcome to the academy. Is that the first story? Yeah, welcome to Shadowhunter Academy. It was like Simon experiencing things.
And I like the graphic novel bit as well.
Yeah, I loved that from the Bane Chronicles. I liked that carried over, that there's just like the panel.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's it. Have you remembered?
No.
That thought's gone now.
It's gone. I'm going to remember it. I have to put it in the Discord. Like, this was the thing. Like, I genuinely have no idea what I was going to say. Yeah. And it's really going to bug me.
It's someone that you loved,
another one. Another one of my favourite moments was when Simon was just like, Izzy, because Helena brought Izzy, hadn't she? And then Izzy was like, it's so unfair, like, he's not a fairy. And then Simon's like, that's not the point, is it? Like, it doesn't matter if she's a fairy. Like, no one should be treated like that. And then Izzy got all, like, hurt about it because she was basically like, well, I'm not racist. Like, she had, like, that moment of, like, but I'm not racist. And I'm like, well, he kind of not saying the right things, though, is he? Like, not angry for the right reasons.
That whole thing where she came out and she was like, oh, Izzy wants to come and see, but she didn't just want to turn up. But she did just turn up. She just hid in the bedroom.
Yeah. But the thing is, if Simon had been like, no, I don't want to see her, he would never have known she was there. So...
Growth.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, the one... I can't say I liked it. It was kind of like a what the fuck kind of moment, but also like when she just came in the beginning, it was kind of like, he's my boyfriend, and then just like sauntering out.
Yeah,
and it was like, what? I was like, yay, like, not in normal circumstances. Yay, but bitch, he needs space.
Yeah. Also, I found it really amusing. Then I got so mad that she got so angry at him for being like, bitch, I'm not your boyfriend now. Like, she got so hurt about it, and I was like, but you knew this. Yeah. You've had this conversation.
This isn't the thing, but I loved how before they, did the thing, he was like, I don't remember if we've done this before. And she was like, you would remember.
Yeah. I thought that was funny.
You or not, you would remember it. If you didn't, you would be in trouble if you did not remember this.
It was funny. And she was like, we didn't really have time, Simon. Like, we were busy.
So
going on.
Yeah.
What important things.
Despite the fact that somehow Clary and Jace remembered to take condoms into, like, a demon realm, Simon and Trinity, they were actually too busy getting shit done.
Getting walked in on while they were role playing. Oh, when he was telling Alex, it's like role playing with a clothes involved. Like, dude,
dude, wait, what kind of role play? What is she expecting? Like,
she was saying about Lord, and he was like, wait, do vampires get given titles? No.
Oh, they really took advantage of his amnesia. The poor man.
Claire is the only one who didn't.
No, but the fact that, like,
and Alec, because Alec just made him think that he hated him.
Yeah, because Alec was being an insecure little bean again. But it was just the fact that it totally just got over the fact that he'd walked in on Alec, and Magnus was like, "Oh, you walked in on us, great. What was this role play about?" And I'm like, he's literally just said he didn't really want to be like.
Yeah.
I do. And you're like, tell me more. What was I wearing? No! Like, stop! It's his sister. Stop!
Like, take a step back, analyze the situation, realize you should not be asking your potential future brother-in-law what kind of almost sex he caught you in.
Well, it's just again. It goes to show it's like that's typical goofy Simon. Just like how she brought in him being like, "Oh, that would be a good band name." Was it Rat Funeral or whatever he said? I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
Why would that be a good band name?
Round a sale for 2,700 for all Dark Artifices, the first 2 last hours, and the oldest curses.
I mean, that's
5 books.
5 books, but still.
That's like £500 a book. No, that's
£540. No, yeah, that's true. That's £7. That's 7 books.
I was like, my math's not mathing here.
£385.72 per book.
So much. So maybe
but let's be real.
For 130 wasn't too bad.
No? I was gonna say, let's be real. That's more like 800 for Lady Midnight, and then split the rest between them. Again, if I need quick money.
Yeah.
Good afternoon or good evening. Okay, so I don't have it. The thing still hasn't come back. I have absolutely no idea.
I have one more thought, and it's just I got real sad about Jordan, like several times.
Oh, he doesn't remember.
Yeah, he ended. Ending is he was like, I thought I'd find you here. Sad.
Yeah.
Oh, when they got all his memories back.
Oh,
and everything was like flying.
No. So
at the end,
when Clary took him to like meet his mum, and then he goes for like dumplings, but like he ends up like walking, and he's like, "Wait, why am I here?"
Oh,
and it's like near where him and Jordan lived. And I was like, "Oh, baby."
But when he started getting his memory back, and it started sort of going from like happy to like darkness and sadness and like clawing his way out of the thing, and then just like nothing, and then he was just like, and then there was this, and when he realized that he is better for getting his memory back that it's not a different. Then he came to his own little realization thing. I did for a minute think he was going to back out and be like, "Nah, I'm not ready for this."
But the little speech where Izzy was just like, "I liked you as a mundane. I dated you as a vampire, and I'm still dating you as a possible Shadowhunter." Like, even then, like he was like, "But what if I don't ascend because I'm too scared?" And it's just like, oh my god, no, stop it.
See, again, that's Izzy. Just I do like seeing that side of Izzy where she is a badass bitch. We all know she is a fierce ass warrior, but now that she's opened her heart to him, being like, "Fuck it, I'm all in." Like, I'm all in for this nerd. Like, you know, you're not getting rid of me. We had a little bit of a blip, you know, but you know, I'm here, and you just deal with it. You are good enough.
Yeah, he was just like, "I know you, Izzy. You'd never date a coward." And she was just like, "Bro, you want a fucking coward? Go for yourself. Make a choice. It's gonna be fine.
You're not gonna die on me. You're not gonna leave me."
It's like we both know that if you make the choice, it's not because you're scared. Like, it's because you've made a choice. Like, let's just get over this and go make out some more on the couch.
It's just the fact when he goes back to the room and George is like, "You're skipping."
You're humming.
It's like, I'm not.
Was it Julie that was sneaking out of the room?
Yeah.
Well? And it's just like, is that Julie? It's like, shush.
It's now the right time, so you've got rat droppings in your favourite t-shirts. And he's like, "Me."
It's fine.
Last time we see George happy. Just saying.
No, he was doing that the whole time. Oh, it's the last time we're eating this. It was the last time. Yeah. It really was.
The last time you saved me? That was rude.
Oh. No, I don't like it.
Oh, I'm gonna write to Cassie Claire and tell her she needs to bring George back.
Yeah.
She found loopholes to bring Simon back. She can
sue for emotional damages.
I don't care if it's like 7 years after it's been written or whatever it is. Just fucking reverse the story. I don't like
just randomly pop up in one of the new books.
I was a ghost, but ta-da!
Yeah, 2015. That was a long time ago.
Oh, 9 years ago. Nearly. 8 years ago.
I was going to say 7 years.
I was thinking, no, 8 years.
2015, it is currently 2022. That's 7.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm tired.
Lisa's just already living in next year. She's ready for the year to be over. Just skip Christmas. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. I still have not remembered the thing I was going to say. That thought is gone. That is lost to the void now.
Right.
I don't have anything else that I can think of. Does anyone else have anything else?
No.
I think I've had all of my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm all good.
This was just a 5-star read.
Well, thank you everyone for joining. And I'm not sure when. We've not got a book this month, so there isn't a live show in January. The next live show will be the beginning of February. But everyone,
it will need to be the beginning, or it will not be here.
It will be. It will be. We will work this out for dates wise. So yeah, thank you everyone. It's okay. I struggle with thinking it's been 22 years since. Please don't. No. Oh. Thank you for joining.
Ow.
Thank you.
Like Catherine was trying to become a cat there, like, ow.
No, I smacked my hand on the chair and was like, ow.
Cat Catherine. Ow.
And on that note, I'm going to end the broadcast.
Bye.
Bye.